Batman is one of the most recognizable characters in all of pop culture. While people will continue to blame Warner Bros. Discovery for their lackluster films and horrible business decisions as of late, the character and the world is still interesting, and many interpretations are always interesting to discover. Given I heard about the Batman games from the game developer Rocksteady, I was interested in giving them a shot. Instead of getting the trilogy like a normal person, I decided to get the last game, Arkham Knight, and decided to give the series a shot. If done well enough, I could see myself getting the other games, but that didn't happen. I do think the game itself has a lot of potential with its open world and setup. However, the game has a ton of horrible business decisions that make the game less than ideal. The combat is literally hitting Play-Doh. It's slippery and the hits could have been more impactful. Plus, it doesn't feel natural to the point where mashing buttons is how I have to handle it. And it doesn't help that many of the later game enemies have a very specific way to handle them, making the combat feel awkward to control. The Batmobile sections are fine, but completely overstay its welcome. They only exist to add variety, and I do see the substance, but it can feel weird since the Batmobile is not a character, and it's just a car with gadgets. Speaking of gadgets, they are used to add puzzles to the game. They're not bad, but I do think it's overwhelming given how much stuff they added to give you more options to worry about in combat. A good aspect is the open world, which I find to be a good idea on paper with multiple side missions that have multiple parts to build a narrative. But I personally don't agree that some of them are just glorified side quests that ended up being required to get through the ending. I know I'm wrong on this because every game handles their missions differently, but it makes the experience more of a drag, which I said I beat the final stage and the main story is done. I think a better structure could be much better for this. Additionally, the only way to get skill points is getting enough experience and doing those other quests and usually very little. It's kinda odd that it's like this, but given how much skills cost, it's okay. The story can be interesting, but Batman shows no character development for the majority of the game, and I think if Batman can do something to help build chemistry with the other characters or show some sort of emotion, I do think it could be pretty impactful. The attention to detail for this game is very unique, and I like the variety of villains it has. I like that the majority of the game, the Joker is just a comedy relief that sprouts one-liners and helps give time for other villains, which is pretty nice. And I also want to add that autosave is the only way to save, and it's completely hit or miss. It saves in midway points during boss fights, but it doesn't save when upgrading abilities or doing certain activities. I'm curious why there's no manual save for this game at all. The open world on paper is good, but the structure can feel off and the gameplay is a mess that doesn't feel natural and is always on butter. This is my first and only Rocksteady Batman game, and for me personally, this game is overrated. If you like this game, props to you. But I couldn't really find it myself. I'm disappointed with how it turned out because it has potential with its world, but a lot of horrible decisions make it from being a good game personally. If I did the other games, maybe that could have an effect on my view, but I'm not interested in getting trilogies. Arkham Knight could have been much better.